Garden update, 24th of August 2026. My birthday, yay! Little side garden. I had weeded it, but obviously the grass seeds and things have come back, but that's not too bad. Got a gazania coming up there, and looks like the lupin is doing quite well, so it'll be nice when that's actually in full blossom. We'll go around the front. Start a little bit further around this time, just because we've got this lovely orange star here. I think it's a zinnia, but I could be wrong. And I think a snapdragon there's growing through the midst of the lavender. That's all right. The Australian native, which has got its burst of flowers on. Excuse all the cars going past. It's the remains of the amaranth, hoping that it self-seeds. So on there, we will see. Number more snapdragon, they're kind of the champion of the garden. Duck across. The lemon tree, I've picked a couple. There's another one. I'm not sure if I can see. In there. The butt of one there. So some people going past, probably because it's actually a fairly mild morning. Our winter in general has actually been quite mild this year, which is kind of nice. Obviously a bit of rubbish has flown in, so I'll have to pick that out at some point. But some flowers starting up there. I'm actually not sure what they are. They might be daffodils, possibly. Could be tulips. I don't remember. I think that's a weed there which I'll have to get rid of, but I can see next to that what I think might be the start of the lilium popping up, which would be nice. Again, there's sort of more hints of green starting to come up as the weather warms a little bit more. That's an established snapdragon, and then I think we've got a younger snapdragon there. The apple tree, hopefully waiting to... Actually, I can't even see. The tip's got a nice little bit of growth on it there. So that's good. That's to be ready to start up again. And I put some compost on here, and naturally there was some potato bits in there, so that started to get a potato, but never mind. A nice bit of pinky purple there, which is good. Now, I've taken the rose out from the corner. It's the roots right there. There were still some roots in there. I'm hoping there's not enough for it to re-establish, but what I've put near there is actually a peony, which hopefully will survive it. I actually ordered it, and so it came in the mail, and I left it in this pack for about, I think, 3 days, so hopefully it's still fine, because I'd like to have a scented flower there, preferably one without thorns. So there's a bunch of the bits of the rose bush, because it was quite thorny, not too surprisingly. Anyway, some of the plants along here are looking a bit worse for wear, but we'll see how it goes. This, not the salvia, the what's the expense? Saffron. Still going there and there. So some of the bits in here, like that bit there, that's a weed that I'd actually pulled out, because I pulled out a bunch of weeds from the back there. The soil there that's over the top is actually from the corner where the rose bush was. There's obviously still some more weed matter there that I need to get rid of. I think these spiky ones at the back, I think, irises. I could be wrong, but we shall see. Over here, I suspect these are gladioli, I think, because I think I transplanted them over there. There's some popping up there. I'm guessing that the weather is warm enough for them to have a fresh go. I'm pretty sure that one's a snapdragon, because again, the hero of the garden, as it were. The hollyhock in the corner there, and I did do quite a bit of trimming of the Daphne. I was going to say Zuniga, but no, she's an Actra. Actually, I've just noticed, I think there's some sticky weed here, so I'll just quickly step in and remove those, because we don't want those. It's one of those things that you can get lots of different sorts of weeds. I can't try and focus on one particular sort to remove, and there are a lot less than there used to be, so that's good. But they will still pop up here and there, or they are still popping up here and there. Okay, we'll leave it at that for the moment. So yes, I trimmed some of that, and the Daphne, put that in there. More possible tulips, can't quite remember. So there's the rose bush that I bought a while ago. It's had a bit of a trim, looks like it's getting some fresh growth on, so that's nice. That one's the raspberry ripple sort of colour to it. This obviously has to, or should have a lot of weeding, but there we go. So I think, as I said, I think that's either a tulip or a daffodil. Not quite sure. Anyway, we'll go around the back. So, the veggie patch, and I may insert some bits here of me tidying it a bit. I will probably forget, but I might do. Okay, probably time to tackle this. Give it at least a little bit of a tidy up. I'll see how we go. Now, that's one side kind of raked and dug over a bit. I used my rake. I wasn't fully digging. Excuse the noise of the football in the background. So the plan now is basically spread this out, probably put some cardboard over it, and then compost. And I might leave that for tomorrow. We'll see. Okay. Ran out of cardboard very quickly. Clearly we should eat more pizza. But anyway, so I'm starting to put the compost on now, which is not going to make the whole bed, but at least it'll give a bit of a cover and a bit more nutrient density. Anyway, I think that's me for the moment. Okay, that was just me leaving a little gap in case I do so. But basically what happened was I got the rake out and kind of dropped it into the soil and pulled to just get some of that top layer of weed matter up. You can still see some scattered around, and then I used a bunch of boxes to cover cardboard, I should say, to cover as much as I could. I didn't actually have as many boxes and bits of cardboard as I would have liked, so it's only kind of up to about that area back. And then I covered it with compost, which I also didn't have as much as I would have liked. So the front area here is kind of a bit dribs and drabs of the compost, but that's fine. This side basically didn't touch at all. I have gone through a little bit here, so some of these bits are actually weeds that have been pulled out. Like you might just be able to sort of see the root part there. But this needs to have quite a bit more done to it. The predominant plant in here, as you might be able to see, is leeks, or are leeks, with the odd lettuce here and there, but that's ready for basically planting once I get around to it. And then we've got some more. Well, these are, I believe, hang on, I might just have to pause because the school's got its music playing. Okay, I think they've finished playing. Basically, the start of the school day, during at the end of recess and lunch and things, they play some music to let the kids know to go back into classes. Jonquils was what I was trying to think of. There are a few of these scattered around the place. I don't remember putting any in this garden bed. I thought I'd just put basically garlic cloves, but there's also a possibility that some of these are going to end up being leeks as well, so I'm not sure, but just letting it grow, because whatever it is I can either use for compost in the future or harvest and use for food. Aloe vera still doing quite well. I managed to leave that there. I did end up accidentally or intentionally pulling some of it out, but I wanted to leave that there because it's nice to have, and it's good if you get any cuts or scratches or burns and things like that. Now, that's fresh compost. Basically just sort of the stuff from the kitchen, just sort of dropped it on there because the compost heap is kind of being redone. I'm thinking of bringing the compost bay forward and getting some of the rocks out from behind it to use in the front as garden walls, but we'll see how we go. So I had already done what I was going to do with that, and did do with that here. So this has had a bit of a sort of weeding, cardboard down and compost over the top, and of course there were potatoes in the compost, so that's growing some there, but that's fine. Over this side, I think that pineapple plant is probably dead, but not to worry. I've got strawberry. That was one that actually came over, and then I think I snipped it so it could grow on, so it's basically a runner. This is the main strawberry bed, which is looking quite healthy. You can see some of the runners over the side. The gooseberry bush I've cut well back. The rhubarb may still be under there. If it's not, I'm not too concerned, because I wouldn't mind getting one of the varieties where the whole stalk is kind of that nice reddish sort of colour, because this one tended to have sort of green with just a hint of the red. It tasted fine, but just, I'm used to the red one. That's what I sort of grew up having with the raspberry crumbles, not raspberry, rhubarb crumbles and things like that. The bamboo is still doing fine, so I'll leave that to keep going. I am thinking I'm probably close to a point where I can split the main part, which I'd like to do. I'm just a bit cautious because they're not cheap as plants, but I would like to split that and perhaps put another one here so I can have 2 lots growing. Again, I just put some compost down there. There's the josterberry, or yosterberry, depending on how you like to pronounce it. It's got some nice fresh growth on it, so I'll see how that goes. Got some more of the jonquils and a hyacinth there, and more snapdragons. As I was saying, the compost bay is basically cleared out, so I was thinking bring that forward, get in behind it, weed it a bit, and get some of the rocks out. There's another hollyhock. Trimmed this plant, this tree, and it looks like it's got some fresh growth on it. We aren't even technically in spring yet, but a bunch of the trees are starting to put on their growth. Also trimmed the apple tree, so see how that goes. The pond is looking quite full of matter at the moment. Obviously need to trim some of these things back as well. It's just a bit trickier given that it's mostly submerged. But you can see some flowers on the water lily, which is nice. It was rainbow something rainbow plant there. It's got some new growth on it. Actually, that might, if we're lucky, bring on some flowers and things, which would be good. The raspberry canes, which haven't really produced much. I've got old coffee grounds on there in case that helps them. Otherwise I probably killed it, but we'll see what happens there. Ignore all the weedy pots and plants and things. Now, I did a bit of a shuffle around in the greenhouse, and I brought a shelf from the garage. That's one that actually came with the house when we got it. I had the previous owner just sort of left it. It is resting against the window. We'll ignore that because it's probably better than it falling against the window. But I just wanted to have something where I could stack my plant trays. Actually, you can see that's actually been getting too much water in from the leaks in the roof. So I'll have to clear that out. But I'm hoping that the metal might be a bit discouraging towards snails and things, because I had noticed some of my seedlings getting nibbled, which is not good. I brought this pumpkin in here because obviously it had a bit of a damaged side, and so it started to go mouldy. So, the rest of that's fine, but I don't know if it's going to survive long enough to make even sort of a decaying jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. Otherwise, I'll just go into the compost, which is fine. Kind of cleared this area out. This weed's sort of coming back a bit, and the table that was over here is now over there. But it may move. I certainly want to level it a bit, but it's getting a bit rickety anyway, so not super fast. And just needs to tidy up, but don't they all always? But anyway, not to worry. So, actually I need to fix the door here as well because it's not latching properly. I mean, I made it, so that's probably why it's a bit wonky. I think it's just the weather has shifted it a bit. See a weed there I'll need to pull out at some point. There's a snow pea, or possibly sugar snap pea. Hoping that actually grows. I must have put it in there at some point and it started to come up. I think I've got some carrots as well. And I think, as much as there's obviously a jonquil or similar thing there, I think that might be some growth from ginger, which there is in there. Actually, there's a weed in there as well. Anyway, we'll ignore the rest of that. And we'll come around to here. Excuse the heater sound. This plant, whose name I always forget, which means it'll be funny if it's actually a forget-me-not, which could be. Anyway, that's been trimmed all the way back, and you can see it's starting to get its new growth. We've got some more jonquils, or whatever they actually are. Clearly I sort of plant and forget, but there you go. The hebe is doing exceptionally well. It's nice and tall now. It's kind of hip height. Yes, that's nice. Cleared this area out a bit. That's a transplant from somewhere else in the garden. It may not survive, and that's fine. It's not. I've got a bunch of things that are basically self-sown and things from stone fruit and such. More of the Donkley type things. This lavender variety is doing quite well there. Got a bunch of I think it's the everlasting daisy or seaside daisy, and more of that over here. The apple tree is looking fine. Put some compost on there. I also put some compost on there, but it was a bit harder to get down to. Snapdragon in the back, and that's happened to that area, so we'll ignore it. I did also trim the cherry tree, or the plum tree. Cherry plum, I think is what they're called. And I just noticed, as I was saying, it's not even technically spring yet. Oop. And yet we have our blossoms starting, but that's all right. So that's the garden, 24th of August 2026, my birthday. Thank you for watching, and happy gardening.